Hi whiskey enthusiasts, this is Brett and I have a review for you today of Johnnie Walker Platinum 18-year age stated Scotch. Johnnie Walker is the biggest name volume wise selling in Scotch worldwide. That combined with the fact that approximately 95% of all Scotch consumed in the world are blends, puts Johnnie Walker at a big spot. Sometimes Johnnie Walker gets a bad name because some of their best-selling expressions are also some of their cheapest ones. And I'll be the first to admit that some of the lower ones, like the current modern bottlings of Johnnie Walker Red, are not good at all. I get it. It's designed to be mixed, but it's just not a good whiskey. However, they have some very good blends, and the green is great. The double black I think is really good. The blue is good for what it is. I do think it's a little overpriced. I think it's about $140 whiskey. And they're trying to sell it for about $200 to $230, I think. So I have mixed feelings about Johnnie Walker, but there's no doubt they're doing something right because there's a lot of it sold. Now, the Platinum 18 is something that I had not ever tasted until here just about a month ago. I grabbed this 200 milliliter bottle to try before I went ahead and made the decision whether I wanted to buy the big bottle or not. I drink a lot more single malts than I do blends, although I do drink both and fully understand the value of both. This is, like I said, 18-year age stated. The 18-year, you're not going to see the Platinum name on it very much longer. They're repackaging this either as we speak in 2017 or the first of 2018. The Platinum label is going away. It's just going to be called Johnnie Walker 18-year-old. This is also, on the older bottlings, this was known as the 18-year-old gold. But what they did was they removed the age statement from the gold, dropped it down a tier in price range, and made the 18 the Platinum. So it's a little bit complicated. If you see this particular whiskey, where it says Gold 18, that's essentially the same thing as this Platinum 18. It's just an older bottling. And in the future, when you see it just say 18-year-old, that's going to be this also. It's just not going. They've discontinued using the Platinum name. It's all marketing, and none of it has anything to do with the whiskey that's in the bottle. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, the first thing that I get out of the nose on this are some lighter fruits. There's a little cherry, some apricot, and then you get sweet cereal grains, a malt note. It's creamy. It's literally like sweet cream. Kind of like Italian sweet cream. There's a bit of honey. And there's a tiny bit of a floral note like heather. I really like the combination of the cereal malty flavors combined with the paler fruits. All in all, a very complex and rich nose. There's a little bit of nuttiness buried under there too. I'm not even going to try to pick a particular kind of nut, but it's there. And that gives a little more depth, makes it a little more rich. Let's try the taste. That's a very complex palate. It shows its age. You start out with a palate that is very, very similar to the nose, where you have the pale fruits, you have a little bit of vanilla, and some of the sweet spice and sweet cream. As it goes further, the malt builds, and the malt then sort of turns into a spicy, woody note. On the tail end of the palate, you start having some smoke come through. It's a dry, sweet smoke. It's not a meaty smoke like you would get in some of the dark tasting Islas. This is a Highland smoke. That's interesting. On the second taste, it got very buttery for me, about mid-palate. It got very buttery. And there's a definite grain taste that comes out later in the palate also. Almost like I don't know if I've ever said this before about a whiskey, but almost like oatmeal. Now that I've already tasted it, and that may have something to do with it, I'm getting a little bit of a light smoke on the nose too. All in all, there's just a lot going on. The finish is all malty oak and light spices. The spice isn't strong, but it's there. I have noticed as I've taken multiple sips of this that it seems to be becoming more malty, more grainy, and less fruity the more of it that I drink. I don't know exactly what they were going for with this expression, as far as if they wanted to create any kind of a nuance pointing towards a particular region. But my initial nosing and tasting of this led me to believe that it was Speyside forward. But the more I drink of it and the farther I get into the glass, it seems to be moving more Highland forward to me. Hence the light smoke, the malty graininess, the floral note with the heather. All that stuff is coming from the Highland side of it, and I'm getting, as I drink more into the glass, the Speyside fruitiness and sweetness is fading a little. So it does change a little bit as I'm going through it, as it coats my tongue. One of the really interesting notes was when the butter came out in it, and that really got strong later on. So there you have Johnnie Walker 18-year-old. I think it's a really good malt. I'm not 100% sure it's worth the $100 to $115 you're probably going to find it priced at. But the truth is, I think that about a lot of Scotch and a lot of whiskey in general. Realistically, if you can pick this up between 85 and 100, I think it's a great buy. Over 100, you're going to have to make that decision. Maybe try some of it. But my general outlook on a lot of scotches, once they get over $75, many of them I think are priced about $15 or $20 high. So that's a little bit of my bias showing through. I wouldn't ever, ever, ever turn down a drink of this because it's actually very good. And the truth is, I think this is a much more complex whiskey than the blue that costs twice as much. So, hope that was useful. See you later.